Hi, my name is Angie, and I'm an astrologer. You actually might know me from TikTok as You, Me, and the Stars. My goal as an astrologer is to bring you astrological information in a way that is easy to understand and in a way that you can apply to your everyday life. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Help the channel grow a little bit. Without further ado, let's check out today's video. So the nodes of the moon are going to be changing signs on January 11th. So if you don't know what the nodes of the moon are, to just make it really simple as a concept, the nodes of the moon are 2 points. They're not planets. They're points that are exactly opposite each other. We can think of the North Node as having like a plus sign on it, meaning whatever is happening on the North Node, we're seeing something increasing or getting a boost. It doesn't mean necessarily in a positive way or in a better way. It just means something is increasing here. Whereas the South Node, we tend to see something being reduced or released, or something just needing to take a back seat for some reason. So where the North Node is traveling currently, where it's in transit in your chart, can represent an area of life that's getting this boost or this increase or some kind of focus brought to it for some reason. It also means that the ruler of the North Node, the houses that rules in your chart, those houses could see a boost or an increase. And the ruler of the South Node, the houses that rules, can see maybe a decrease or less of a focus, or the things represented in those areas of life might need to take a back seat for a little bit for some reason. The last time that the nodes of the moon were in the Pisces and Virgo axis, Virgo was actually at the North Node, and this would have been from November 11th, 2015 until May 9th, 2017. So you can think back to that period of time in your life, and there would have been some similar themes going on, but maybe a little bit different emphasis. The last time we had this exact configuration with Pisces being on the North Node and Virgo being on the South Node was from June 26, 2006 until December 14th, 2007. And before that, Pisces was on the North Node from December 1st, 1987 until May 22nd, 1989. Eastern astrology looks at the nodes of the moon as a dragon, with the North Node being the mouth or the head of a dragon and the tail being the bottom or the end of the dragon. And even though the North Node can be considered positive in some ways, the head of that dragon can be too much. We can bite off more than we can chew. The North Node in Pisces is going to bring an emphasis to Pisces-like themes. And I tried to break down some potential things we can see happening here on a collective and personal level by kind of sorting them out through the more, upbeat, positive, quote unquote, expressions of the Pisces North Node versus the more challenging or negative or difficult expressions of the Pisces North Node. So let's talk about the challenging stuff first. We'll get the icky stuff out of the way first. The shadow side of Pisces is going to have to do with things like escapism, and we can escape through a lot of ways that maybe aren't super productive for us. Like we can escape through substances. We can also escape through self-harm and just not wanting to be here. And that could play out a lot of different ways, like literally not wanting to be here. But it also could be like, I don't want to do that, but I also just don't want to be here in reality dealing with things. Another thing that Pisces can be connected to in this kind of shadow form is codependency in relationships and martyrdom, seeing only what you want to see in a person until you kind of become enmeshed in this unhealthy dynamic. And then maybe, kind of playing victim or the helpless. Oh, I don't know what to do now. I'm in this bad situation. And this kind of toxic, addictive cycle of that. Again, if you or someone around you already has the tendencies of getting involved in these situations, already has these dependency issues, this next nodal cycle, this next year and a half, there could be some stuff going on with that. And the third challenging expression of this Pisces North Node, we could see the shadow side of Pisces that could come out during this year and a half, is fanatical idealism. This could be politics, but also with religion, celebrities, really putting someone on a pedestal to such a degree it's just beyond unhealthy. You know what I mean? Now, as far as the good side, I've picked three, positive, some good expressions of this Pisces North Node. The first one I have is compassion ruling over the need to be right. Virgo is an energy of, I've got my facts nailed down. I know what I'm talking about. And there can definitely be this know-it-all kind of thing with Virgo energy. And with Pisces, there's a lack of ego. Compassion can win over that need to be right, which I think could be an energy that is really necessary right now, but that's just my personal opinion. Another thing that could be really positive about this Pisces North Node could be, a lot of us learning to not be so rigid and stuck in that everyday rat race and stuck in this kind of mental prison, and getting a little out of our heads and a little bit more into our hearts. I also think that's probably kind of needed right now. And a third positive potential expression of this Pisces North Node is just remembering our interconnectedness. Remember that we're not as separate as we've been made to believe, especially recently, right? So the people who are going to be really impacted by this nodal transit are going to be people who have, like I've mentioned, the tendency towards dependency issues, dependency on substances, on people, on relationships, people who have intense control issues. Like it's kind of interconnected with that codependency thing, right? Also, people who are kind of gullible, who are impressionable, who are easily swayed, easily conned, and also con artists, people who present an image to other people that isn't necessarily accurate. This includes celebrities or anybody else that you or we as a collective have kind of put on a pedestal to be godlike when they're not. Of some themes you might be able to expect with the Pisces North Node traveling through a certain house. If you've got the Pisces North Node traveling through your first house, this is a time for you to focus on what you want and not worry so much about pleasing other people. It's also important for you to honor your intuition and your feelings, your own self-reliance, your independence, how you can handle things yourself without being, hyper independent, trying to find some kind of balance between hyper independence and hyper codependence. Some of you who have this transit going on for the next year and a half, you could see an image change, or, something about the way you look, or just the way you see yourself can really change. Even your title can change during your first house nodal transit, like your professional title, what you do, or even your relationship status kind of title thing. That can change. The second house North Node transit puts an emphasis on what's important to you, your values, your assets, what your time is worth. That's a big one. Sometimes we can make more money during this transit, but I think it's more common that we have more of an understanding of what we think we're worth and what we think our time is worth. During this transit, some of you could make a major purchase like a house. Some of you could decide to switch careers or switch up the way that you earn money. And a lot of you are going to be focusing on those issues of confidence and self-worth, not to mention your own sense of security. What makes you feel solid and good, especially on a material level? How much money do you really need in the bank to feel okay? The third house North Node transit in Pisces can bring an emphasis on learning, writing, speaking, social media, siblings and aunts and uncles and other extended relatives, neighbors, sales, contracts, negotiations. If you have siblings or, relatives with existing, again, dependency issues or mental health concerns, you might feel like you need to help them. You might feel like you need to step in and save them, or that they can't really help themselves. Some people who have a sibling or an extended relative who have, these mental health or dependency issues, you could experience during this nodal transit some sense of loss. Though that doesn't have to be, permanent loss, but there could be some sense of sadness or heaviness there. And for some people, the third house nodal transit in Pisces could mean that you're doing some kind of healing form of writing or creating some kind of healing content on social media. If the North Node in Pisces is traveling through your fourth house, there could be a focus on family and your home, your property, where you live, and your private world. This could also put an emphasis for some people on your father. For some people, this nodal transit could mean that you're actually recuperating from something while you're at home. And for others, I think this could actually mean that you're relocating, like overseas or to an environment that's really foreign in some way to you. And for some, I think, yes, there could be a loss within the family, or there could be a need to pitch in and help where someone in the family really needs it. And for others, this transit could actually mean you're doing a lot of healing work from your home. The fifth house nodal transit in Pisces brings an emphasis on kids, romance, and the things you're passionate about and the things that bring you joy. For some, this could be a spiritual or a healing-based business. For others, this could mean maybe you have a kid who, needs a little extra help for some reason. For some, this could be a time to focus on music or some other creative activities, creative projects. And for some, having kids could mean you are less connected to the everyday rat race of life. Maybe some of you are at home, kind of disconnected from everything with the kids. Maybe you're living a more dreamy, not quite so real kind of life, like watching your kids' cartoons every day. The Pisces North Node transit through the 6th house is probably some kind of indication that balance is really needed between your everyday work life, maybe even your health, your mind-body connection, and your need for time away, solitude, time to decompress. During this transit, you could be faced with situations that challenge your need for solitude and escape and dependency versus your need for order and control and material proof or logic about something. Maybe you have to take care of someone who really needs your help, or maybe you even get involved in some kind of charity work or working with disabled folks, or maybe the work exposes you to people who have dependency issues themselves. Another thing to watch out for with the 6th house Pisces North Node transit is your allergies could be a little bit more intense, and you could have some more intense drug sensitivities. So you really want to be careful about what kind of drugs you're taking, even if it's at the hospital or it's prescribed. You just want to make sure that you're not taking something that your body is rejecting. The Pisces North Node moving through the 7th house could indicate that there is an emphasis on long-term partnerships and one-on-one relating. If you're a single person with this transit, it could mean that sometime over the next year and a half, you meet someone important. This doesn't even have to be romantic. It could be, a business partner or a new best friend. If you're already married, you're already partnered, this could mean that you see some kind of leveling up in the relationship. You get engaged, you get married, you have a baby, you have a house, you move together, you do something where it kind of solidifies the commitment to the relationship. There could just be a focus on the partnership for some reason. Maybe your partner needs some kind of help during this time. Maybe they're recovering from some kind of surgery or illness or something. You can also be drawn to people who need help. So drug addicts or people who are disabled or people who tug at your heartstrings for whatever reason. The Pisces North Node moving through your 8th house, this could bring a focus on your partner's income if you have a partner. Maybe their income is going to see a boost. There could also be some kind of boost or emphasis on benefits like insurance. There could be an emphasis on taxes or debt or shared resources. If you have this transit going on, this could be a year that you take out a loan for a big purchase like a house or, a major car purchase or something like that. It could be topics like inheritance or even some subconscious or buried familial gunk. That could get brought up with this North Node transit. If someone close to you happens to struggle with addiction or those mental health issues I keep referencing, you could see something coming to a head with that during this cycle. The 9th house Pisces North Node transit could put an emphasis on things like travel, higher education, the law, court cases, publishing, your in-laws. If you have them, you might do some overseas travel with this transit. Or maybe you might travel somewhere where people need help or they're less fortunate in some way. You might have to sacrifice for your partner's family or, an in-law for some reason. For some people, this could mean that you get involved in a metaphysical or legal educational program during this transit. If you have an in-law who does happen to struggle with addiction or, big mental health stuff, then that could come to a head during this cycle in some kind of way. If the Pisces North Node happens to be traveling through your 10th house, there could be an emphasis on your career, big life choices about where you work and where you live, the big stuff, your public reputation, maybe even your mom. There could be a focus there for some reason. Maybe your mom needs some extra help for some reason this year, or maybe you struggle with some codependency or some boundary issues with your mom, and that's what comes up. Or this could be the situation with an authority figure if it isn't your mom. Maybe you get involved in some kind of charity work or some kind of work that is spiritual in nature. Maybe some of you go viral and become kind of internet famous, and you take on this Pisces kind of mirroring, reflective reputation that celebrities do, where we see them in a certain light. We don't always see them as being a real person. If the Pisces North Node is transiting through your 11th house, then this can put an emphasis on the groups that you're a part of, including friends and social circles. Maybe a group of friends needs your help somehow, or maybe you get involved in some kind of humanitarian group group for, charity in some kind of capacity. Maybe boundary and codependency issues within your friend groups come up. You might be extra sensitive to what's going on out in the world, and you might need frequent breaks from social media and the news just because of the sensitivity. There could be an emphasis on your hopes and your dreams, what you want for the future. For some of you, maybe you take on some kind of healing role within the collective, something, spiritual or Pisces-like in nature. And if the Pisces North Node transit is moving through your 12th house, then there could be an emphasis on solitude, rest, dependency issues, hidden enemies, which I usually refer to as the hidden enemy within, because if a topic about hidden enemies does come up, it's often an unconscious projection of something else inside. There's a chance that you could be spending more time in a 12th housey kind of place over the next year and a half. 12th housey place is anything that's tucked away from society. So like hospitals, rehabs, jails, prisons, that kind of thing. Maybe you're recovering from something, or maybe you're spending more time out in nature, away from everybody else. And if you're having this North Node transit, this is an excellent time to get therapy if you're not in it already. So that's going to do it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. If you have a question, be sure to ask it. Keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground. Take care of each other.